to the wisdom part of the session. Can you all hear me okay? Anyone confirm? Okay, you good? All right. So let's get started. We've been talking about a lot of different aspects of enlightenment, ascension, and how truth in general affects our ability to distinct between the fact versus fiction. And one of the most important thing in the realization of the truth or in the essence of truth, uh, whether it is enlightenment, liberation, freedom, or realization, in whatever terms in spirituality, the ultimate spirituality is ego, the identity of the ego. Because there is a lot of familiarity between what we identify ourselves and what we are as an identity. So today we talk about that fundamental evolution, right? What is the distinction between ego and truth in a most fundamental insight, right? With some examples that would help me in my spiritual evolution, my self-awareness, and even at a psychological, in a mental plane. How do I need to deeply understand this? How do I not just intellectually, but experientially, transform myself? Not just looking at it as a perception, not by interaction with, in terms of my life as relationships, or looking for something greater in my life that you want to get. We talk about inner peace, we talk about happiness, we talk about so many things, right? So we'll try to unpeel little more about this factor of false identity and the real identity, ego versus truth today. So a lot of times we talk about in spirituality, you're not supposed to have ego. Even in religion, it is very well understood that ego by far will not take you into the path of divine. It is going to slow you down and all that. In reality, ego is not a bad thing. Why ego is not a bad thing? There is a reason why you have been given ego, right? If there is no identity, if there is no way you recognize yourself in the society, how do you live, right? So in that context, if you look at it from a pure spirituality perspective, ego is very much needed, but it has to have a mechanism, a way of functioning such that your ego stays in line, right? Your ego cannot take you over. There is a factor of ego that you have when you are at work. You got to identify yourself. When you are outside in the society, interacting with, with life, you need some form of ego. But the ego cannot be taken over by you. It has its place. You have your place. As long as you both have that place at your own pace, it is absolutely fine. But unfortunately, the place where ego sits, we lose everything else, right? We become that. When we become that is when the problem comes. Now let's talk through, if I say ego is not a bad thing, it is by far at a functional level, at a root level, you are identifying yourself. It is an identifying mechanism to show to the world that who am I? Right? My name is so and so, I am this, I am that. But what also exists with ego, which is what we need to understand, is the sense of I as a separate individual, as a separate identity. This is most important thing. This is where, at its core, if we don't understand what ego is, right, there are different types of egos. We'll also go through that, some of it. But why this is the most important thing? Because no matter how much you have learned, how much you have practiced, it is only in that experience you are able to get to truth. When you have to experience, the last step that you have to let go is ego. Without bringing your ego in line, enlightenment is not possible. Period. No matter to what level you are, it doesn't matter. If you are looking for enlightenment, if you are seeking for truth, seeking truth is not a right word. If you are the aspirant of truth, then you have to work with your ego. This is part of your practice. As much as you embrace being in awareness, you also need to start to look at your ego, the aspects of ego, how your identity get lost, how you are not in touch with your real identity, how the world that you are in takes you over. The conversations, the situations, the circumstances, the environment, you can call it so many different ways. Everything is going to take you over and you lose yourself in that process, and ego gets identified its own pace, and you are actually feeding ego. Whenever I say me, mine, I have to have this, so and so need this, that is all ego feeding on its own. So how does my ego gets built up? This is the fundamental question, right? Every one of us will have to ask at some point in our own journey, hey, how does this come in play? It comes from my memories, for sure. All my memories, whatever I carry, the past and the future events that I'm going to imagine, all of that, the planning aspect of it is all part of the ego. My conditioning, right? How my conditioning, how do I condition myself? That's all part of ego. My belief system, most important. What do I believe in? It's all coming from ego. My social identity. How do I identify and how do I recognize myself in the society? What do I like? What do I not like? Likes and dislikes. Everything is one, that is ego. All these are coming with only one and only one factor, ego. So if I do not have a way to take care of this ego, then this is going to take care of me. So the way I identify myself, hey, I am working, I have a so and so job, I am always right in a way that I am saying it. Hey, whatever you said to me, I am really hurt. Hey, please do not disrespect me. You know, what is this? These are all the identities of the ego. At a different levels, you're identifying. My name is so and so, I live so and so, I come from so and so. Those are the facts. But beyond those facts, you have created your own identity. That identity is what you are carrying in the real world. That is the concept. It is not like, you don't want to work with it. You want to work with it, but you want to contain it. You want to balance it to make sure that it is not taking you over. Right. So what is ego? If I put it in a deeper context, is my psychological, the time factor that I put in, whether it is past or future, plus the associated identity that I have. What happened to me in my past? That is ego. What should happen in future for me? That is ego. That combination is ego. So it always creates that separatedness. It shows me you are different than me. It does not approve to the fact that you are one and only one, right? The divine oneness concept that we talk about. Now we all know what is truth. Truth is nothing but an independent and interpretation of the fact as it stands. It is the reality as it stands. That's it. Whatever is not ego is truth. That only happens in the present moment. Truth only exists in the present moment. Ego exists in the past or future. You label yourself in so many factors that something is happening in your life today. Let's suppose, okay? This is a very, this analogy is something that we all go through all the time. Something, you have a health issue, you have a stressful movement going on, or some kind of, something you're carrying with you at this very moment. What ego does is, ego does not allow you to dissolve it. Ego wants to entertain on its own. So what happens? It pushes you into seclusion. It pushes you into a depressive state. It creates that infinite loop within you, a looping concept, keeping you on the past, reminding you again and again, again and again, again and again, so that you never come out of it. Sometimes it takes days, hours, months, and you don't come out of it. The reason is you are in the space of ego. You're not in the space of truth. When you are stuck in the space of ego, first, it is very difficult to identify. You need energies or you need awareness to be able to identify that you are in the space of ego. Number two, you need to know how to come out of that space and come into the reality. That's where the next, which is the best thing, the practical truth, right? The reality as it happens, which is always in the present moment. Hey, I've done a project in my company with a team of 10 individuals or 5 individuals, and we failed the project. That is the truth. Hey, it was a beautiful, sunny, clear skies out there, but I don't know what happened. Suddenly it rained. That's a fact. That's a truth, right? And psychologically, if I put a context to the truth, it is like basically you are saying yourself that, hey, something is happening within you. Hey, I'm getting anger, I'm getting emotional, I'm getting drained. You're actually able to see that, but you're not the anger, you're not the emotion that's coming out, you're not the drainer that's kind of carrying it through, but you're seeing it through. And then the final truth, which is the absolute truth. The first two, the practical truth and the psychological truth, are relative truths. They are happening based upon a particular condition. It is a memory, condition, belief, likes, dislikes, whatever it may be. It has started with one of that triggering concept. But the third one, which is the absolute awareness, absolute truth, pure awareness, the presence, the I am factor that Bhagavan talks about, that Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about, Patriji talks about in his concept, when you become that, how you are, I am that I am, right? So that is what is the real truth. Now, if I put a context between, what is ego and what is truth, if I always associate myself as a personality, then that is ego. Truth is impersonal. It cannot be ego-centered because truth is only one. In this context, the truth is absolute truth. If I look at absolute truth is only one. It is impersonal. It cannot be personal. In the space of ego, I always react. Right? I always react. I always try to put it out. You trigger it, I re-trigger it. You create an action, I create a reaction. Ego space. In the truth, you're only observation. You're only witness in the truth. Right? Always we have to remember ego needs validation. You will try to validate either within your inner core or with the individuals that you associate with, or you refer to the literature or masters or whatever it is, you try to create that validation. That is ego. There are so many examples we can talk about. Truth needs nothing. You just have to live it. That's it. You just breathe it. That's all it is. And the other important one, which is ego always creates stories. We spoke about this last time. My ego, the reason why my ego is really hurting me, or my ego is feeding on its own, because I always try to create a story. I don't talk about fact. I put a story around that fact that creates that ego space, and it feeds on its own. That's why the ego always goes up. And somebody disturbs while you're saying it, you'll say, well, hold on, let me finish. Right? or somebody is trying to distract you, you don't like that. You want to be in that story. You want to show yourself as either you are a victim, or you are a boss, or you are, actor, whatever that role that you are playing in your own story. That is all ego. In the space of truth, a fact is a fact, period. There is absolutely nothing else to talk about in truth. And the most fundamental, this is where ego is a big concern, right? For spiritual aspirants, ego divides, it does not unify. It creates the separatedness. It gives you the sense of survival, right? That I have to survive, I have to feed myself, I have to live, I don't know what is going to happen. It creates so much of illusion within yourself that it automatically feeds on its own and makes sure that it never dies within you. The most predominant factor of everyone, if you take me as an individual, the most predominant factor of me is ego. For everyone, it is most likely like that. How does my ego feeds on its own? Through my emotional imbalances, emotional outbursts, emotional turbulence. Whatever I create on my own, it feeds on that, it creates that emotion. When the emotion comes within me, it kind of, gets that negative energy, and through that negative energy, it satisfies itself. And whenever that incident or that event or that triggering mechanism happens outside, my inner ego will start again. This is what, if you have read Eckhart Tolle, he talks about beautiful concept called pain body. Pain body is nothing but a, a negative aspect, a, a, a negative aspect of your body that always sustains on your negative emotions. Hey, I'm not good at it, then your pain body gets activated. If something you have seen, it triggers a memory, something happened in your past, then it creates. I don't have, whenever you feel like lack, hey, I don't have this, then it connects itself, it goes into that loop, then that is pain body, right? He talks about beautifully about pain. So emotional turbulences, whatever the level they are at, and however the triggering mechanism it is all because of the ego. In truth, you only have stillness. The concept of truth is stillness, silence. That's it. There is no turbulence at all. So if I start to practice it, now imagine I am a very deep meditator. I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of practice. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of satsangs and all of that, right? But if you are not able to face your own ego, there is no progress. Because ultimately, no matter what you are doing, you will come and stop your bus. Everyone's bus stops at ego. I do satsang to let go of my ego, not to take it far, right? I read books to understand how grandmasters live their life with no ego. If I don't put my ego as a factor and then try to look at it from its lenses, then I'm learning not much. If I am practicing my meditation in a deeper level, I do not build my awareness or witness consciousness, then I am feeding my ego. I have got this beautiful experience. I have gone through astral travel. I have had third eye. None of my folks have it. So I am the one. You're feeding yourself. Your ego is feeding on the experience that you have in your deeper state of meditation. What kind of meditation is that? So it is a very subtle thing, but yet profound, that you have to recognize it and you have to work with it almost all the time to make sure that you have a way out of it. Again, you are learning out of it. You're not trying to avoid it. You're not trying to suppress it. You're trying to find a way to make peace with it. to make sure that you're able to come out of it. That is the beauty of this, especially the survival ego that sets into your fear factors and some of those things, right? And then the social ego, right? It has it, I always want to be successful, right? Something happened in my life, I'm shut down now. That's it. I'm not going to be out anymore. I don't meet people. I don't do anything, a social ego. That's it. Feeling fearful, feeling afraid that somebody may ask me something, I'm not going to come out. I've shut down myself. I'm going to stick to my own principles or whatever the daily routine I have. And I'm going to be stuck in that phobia forever, the illusion phobia, what I have created. Some have the recognition phobia, right? I want to get recognized on that. That is all social ego. Some of them have intellectual ego, which is far more like argumentative, altercative. I got to prove my point all the time. I am right in every situation. I tell you, you listen to me, right? Difference of opinions, strong difference of opinion. You see this more and more in group discussions these days. Kids actually are trained in this, especially in US. Kids are trained to have a point of view, but they get lost. Having a point of view is different from having a strong opinion. Strong opinion means it's like you're argumentative. You're practically nothing can help you to move on from that. Of course, the emotional ego aspect of it, which is like, you make a mistake, you are guilt, you go on that, you have a criticism, you tackle that, but you don't tackle it, you just let it happen. You criticize yourself, you criticize everybody, you criticize society, you criticize, whoever that party that comes in front of you. You only criticize, criticize, criticize. Oh, is that all? No, it is not all. Then you get into spiritually, which is what we go through. All the spiritual aspirants have it. My spiritual progress, I have an ego on that. Somebody praises me, you get an ego factor there, right? Somebody gives you something, you have an ego factor. Name, fame, recognition, awards, praising, giving you an opportunity to talk, to connect, to lead, to listen to your wisdom, all spiritual ego. Truth has nothing to do with any of these things. Right? So, and then of course, your memories, we talked about past memories, which keep coming back to you, and your future worries, which will also act upon you all the time. They are bringing you back. They are not letting you live. They are not letting you suffer, right? You're always in this state of limbo. Sometimes you suffer, sometimes you live, sometimes you suffer, sometimes you live. That's how it goes. That's why it is absolutely essential to recognize the factor of ego in our life, which is the major factor. There is nothing else beyond the ego that we have. I mean, there are like so many other things that can come, the fear factor and other stuff. But ultimately, you come into the identity of the ego factor, which will not let you, even we were talking about chakras last week, right? Ego is in the lower chakras. Without getting over that ego aspect of it, balancing the ego, you cannot get to your higher state of chakras. Period. Knowing is one thing, being is a totally different thing. So this is it does not see why ego is a concern. This is the most important part of the conversation, right? Why ego is a concern is because it distorts the truth. It doesn't allow you to see the reality as it is. It always interprets, ego interprets the reality as a survival thing, as an identity, as a perception, right? It does not allow you to accept things as they are. That's why ego cannot take over. If your ego is taken over, then you are hardly able to recognize anything in life. I feel very insecure, you feel like, somebody is judging you already, right? You feel like I have a personality, this is about me, this is about the way I do it, this is about way I convey myself to others. It is about my belief system that I brought in myself with my own attachments, whatever maybe those things are, right? I believe that if I go out, right, I always have to see a cat. Let's suppose, in Indian mythology, we have this thing, astrology actually, right? Hey, if you see a symbolic representation, if you see cat outside, then that day that work is not going to happen, right? You feel like, oh, it's a sin. That's a belief system. So your work has nothing to do with cat coming in front of you, but you have a belief system that is to the core that whatever you do from that point onwards for that whole day, you are not productive. The reason the ego belief system comes in and it hits you every time you are trying to do something, and it kind of proves that, hey, you cannot do this, you cannot do this because you saw this, you saw this, you saw this. So it kind of goes into the loop, right? You call someone and someone, it's a very typical that you call someone did not pick the phone. Instead of trying to say, give them the space, in the truth, what it says is you're ignoring me, right? Oh, the guy is not ignoring me. They don't respect me. They don't take my calls anymore. Your kind of mind goes into so much of that. It creates that story. So some of these things is where we have to work. It is that work, that practice, that identity should be done all the time, not just one time, all the time. That's why truth requires you to be attentive and in awareness all the time. You cannot be like one time you are attentive and the other time you're not. It doesn't work there. The distinction is very, very important, because if I am in the ego space, I cannot see the truth at all. I see the truth distorted. Distorted truth is not the real truth. There is no reality there. It is the perceived truth that I believe, which has nothing to do with the absolute truth or the real truth. So if I try to reduce my suffering, okay, if I try to bring some kind of structure in my life, to say that how do I bring structure in my life, how do I do this, right? It is because of my interpretation of my own ego. If I have my ego, I identify the ego to the situations. Like, for example, I have a pain. If I am identifying with the pain, then I'll have suffering. How is pain becoming suffering? Is because of through ego. You can have pain, but you cannot have suffering. That's what we need to work on. And is that how it is? No, it is also in your relationships, not just in your body, not just in your environment, not just in your situations, also in relationship. You try to defend yourself, you try to blame others, you compete with others, you compare, you judge, you interfere. There are so many things that we do out of that. Truth has a contrary concept to the whole thing, right? Truth understands, truth only responds, truth only listens, truth takes information or that receptiveness in silence. If I am a truth aspirant, I need to develop some of these qualities within me in a natural way, not in an artificial way, right? And that's where it comes that I have to have that awareness. Awareness is the answer to every question that you put out there. But so does it mean that, okay, if I have to be in the truth, do I have to avoid ego? No, you don't have to. You should not. If I do not see my ego as it is, then I cannot. My meditation is a shallow meditation. My meditation is not working. My awareness cannot stabilize if I do not see the ego as it stands. This is what, right, Eckhart Tolle talks about. Right? He says, hey, whenever you are connected to that pain that is happening, you are activating your pain body. You have to start to realize that the reality has nothing to do with your pain body, and you have to find an opportunity to let go of that pain. Because that pain, whatever you are receiving or whatever you're getting, is happening unconscious. You're not conscious of the pain. It is happening unconscious. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to consciously let it go by knowing about it. Right? And of course, the fear factor is always there, right? Fear of loss, fear of losing control, losing, touch with the family, and a lot of those things, right? Truth has no fear, no dependencies, no resistance. It is absolutely, in the state of awareness, you're always there. It does not get into that level of energies at all. So my work or our work together, the collective work that we are doing together, is for us to show that identity of ego, what it does, and how do I recognize it, and how do I overcome it. It's not overcoming means you're not like, taking it away. You're just trying to balance it to a point where it becomes sustainable. It does not disturb your truth. Right? In the context, of Vedanta, we talk about, Vivekam, Vairagyam, right? We talk about a lot of those factors. Sadhana Sampatti, right? Vivekam, Vairagyam, lot of identification, Shat Sampatti, right? Mumukshatvam. A lot of these things we talk about in that concept. The idea is to discriminate the ego from the truth. That is Viveka. Clearly seeing what is the space of ego, what is the space of truth. Right? Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha Viveka. You always have to have that. Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha. You should be able to distinguish between what is permanent and what is not permanent. And identification. You should be able to not identify every time, right? Stop falling into the traps of your thoughts. Stop falling into the traps of your emotions. Align yourself to the greater truth. And alignment is always a good thing. Right? And identify those triggering points. What are the things that are bringing you down? Whenever you're getting hurt, whenever you're anger, whenever you're defensive, urge to prove your own state of space, showing that I have this identity, activating signals for yourself. And part of that is also helping others. That is ego. You're doing it in ego space. So that's the reason it becomes more and more important for us to practice on this space of ego and trying to understand how do you come out of it. Again, coming out doesn't mean avoiding it or removing it. It is trying to keep it in balance. Use it only when there is a need of it. But recognizing is the most important. If things are not falling in line for you, you are not the same person who you are, then you are in the space of ego. Hey, I was in the space of ego in the past. I came into the truth. I've started to see the reality, but now I'm going back into that ego space because of whatever the external factor or internal factor, whatever may be the triggering mechanism. So that's why it becomes very important as a practice for all of us to start to recognize and start to understand how ego operates within us, how it takes you over, how it controls you, how it manipulates you, how it distorts the state of reality, and absolutely how it always proves to you that survival is the only way to live. It will never say that life is a celebration. It says You got to survive this life. And of course, with that comes the separatedness. You're always separated from each other. So the more and more you start to get deeper into the understanding of this, the greater the state of reality. So how do I get out of this? This is the most important, right? How do I get out of the ego space? Take a pause. Observe, right? When you take a pause and you observe, you're creating a gap, space of awakening, right? A space between you and that gap. Don't react immediately. If you react immediately, you are acting on this, on the, if you pause and then you react, then you're still in the ego space. You ask the question whether this is a fact or this is a story. You feel your body. Whenever you are in the ego space, you feel your body. Ego creates that sensations, negative sensation, emotional sensations within your system. Truth is always neutral. Truth is always open. You feel like something is releasing from you when you are in the reality. But when you are in the ego space, you feel like your sensations feel like you're sucking up something. That sucking up something is nothing but your negative energy. If you say, I have anger or I am angry, it has got two things there. That thought has got some kind of, because thought is only a concept, it has nowhere to go. You already have some half of it is goes into the mental space of the energy, the negative energy. The other half, because your mental space has reacted, your body follows that. Your body has a sensation or a feeling that it captures that anger is present and that negativity goes into your cells. And if that becomes a pattern, then you have stress. If that becomes a pattern, then you have illnesses. So recognizing that how I need to live in the space of ego versus truth is the most important. I'm doing meditation. I'm reading a lot of spiritual masters books. I'm doing a lot of satsangs, sadhana, seva, and all that. But check your ego every now and then. Check your space of the ego, how you are doing. Are you in line? Is that how I should be? Am I operating, in the ego space? Am I operating in the truth space? Neville Goddard, he talks about this concept, a beautiful concept called feeling, assumption. You are not creating the life. The life is happening on its own, and you are that, right? You are not bringing the environment together, right? You're not trying to go and work and then make things happen outside. You live the state inside, and everything will automatically align for you at outside. That's a beautiful thing. It's a law. It's a law. If you're whatever is your inner state, the outer has to align to it. It's a law. Instead, what we are doing is our inner is so fractured, so crippled, and we are trying to align things outside. It will never happen. It doesn't work that way. It's just lack of understanding. You have to make sure your inner is pure for your outer to be pure. What you give, so shall you get. As simple as that, right? So these are only possible when you are coming to that state where you started to go, your ego is in the balanced state, and then now you started to expand your awareness. When your silence starts to deepen, you start to keep your inner. The priority should be inner, not outer. But we are giving priority outer. Truth is always present inside. It's also there everywhere. But I need to recognize the truth here before I recognize everywhere else. What is happening is my ego is creating a shallow illusion towards the truth. So that's why I do not see the truth as truth. Right? It's like clouds covering the sun. As long as the clouds are there, I don't see the sunlight. Similarly, my ego, as long as my ego is there with me, I cannot see the truth behind it. So what am I doing in my practice? Anyone, whoever is practicing or working towards this aspiration of truth, I wanted to be enlightened. I wanted this life to be my last life. I want peace. I want happiness. What you are trying to do is you are not trying to create truth. You're not trying to figure out where truth is. You're already that. What you're trying to do is you're trying to remove the misidentification, the ego aspect of it. That's why it requires a lot of conscious effort to get there. When you misidentify and then release that, remove that, then you are that. Then you are, you are what you are. That's it. What else is left is truth. I don't try to bring the sunlight here and there. Sunlight is always there. I know sunlight will be there. Similarly, you got to know that when your inner is pure, perfect, aligned, stable, silence, stillness, your outer has to align. That's it. You know it. Every morning you get up, you say, sunlight, I don't know whether sunlight will be there or not. You don't say that. You know sunlight is there. In the same way, you should know the truth is always there. So that's the most important concept, right, today. So it's about 10 o'clock here, right? So silently do this practice every day about ego, about truth. You are truth. This is what it is the truth. Ego is all about you, me, identifying something always. Contemplation is the best way. Try to bring it on. Whenever some things are happening in your life, question it. If you question it, you will pause. You will take time. It will take time for you to react. You let that questioning happen more and more, then you start to weaken the space of ego, which will automatically bring the truth within you. So 10 o'clock now. So any questions?
Master, I have a question around this. This is an excellent topic. So my question is, how do we know that, or how do we differentiate? Like in the corporate world, we talk about always emotional intelligence and other things, right? So how do we differentiate that we are acting based on what we have learned, whether it is our mind or it is something that coming through this practice? How do we differentiate that?
The most simplistic way to recognize yourself is when there is a me, mine, this should be done this way, why me? Some of these questions come to you, it is always at the space of ego. When you are observing things as they are and you are receiving information as it is with no absolute conditions, right, no identification whatsoever, then that is truth. It's a simple rule. It's a very simple rule, right? If it is your personal, if you are reactive, if you are story based, if you are putting any kind of identity out there, then you are in the ego space. If you are neutral, if you are present in the moment, and you're always focusing on the facts, not on the story, facts, then you are in the truth space. So even at your work, you should know what is the drama and what is not, right? Truth is like, hey, you're supposed to do this work, you did not do it. That's the truth. But the drama is, hey, this happened before, this is This is coming back again and again to you. Why is this like that? Why I'm doing it like this? Your mind is like creating drum beating itself, you know, pulling all those memory items, whatever has happened in the past, and trying to connect a dot. You should recognize that, okay, this is all ego.
Mm.
Truth has nothing to do. This moment, whatever happened, has nothing to do with the past moment. Something happened, right? Past moment is past moment. This moment is this moment. Why I'm creating this connection? Because I'm in the ego space. Ego always likes to connect things together and create a story towards it. That's why awareness is a beautiful way to recognize it. When you are aware, you cannot be in the ego space. And one of the beautiful way to enhance your awareness is through meditation. Meditation is a beautiful way to enhance it. And in the presence of the grand masters, when you are in satsangs, when you are in the sajjana sangatyas and all, right? That presence will give you an opportunity to be more aware, not in your ego space, more in the awareness space. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Master. Thank you.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Uh, just a follow-up to the madam's question.
Mhm.
Is insecurity could be one of the factor that can drive the ego
Yes.
in the sense, if I had to just correlate with the example what madam has just said, in the corporate world, if I'm working in a corporate environment where I've been asked to express my point of view, but however my point of view is pushed back with some kind of a hidden agenda or whatever it is. So my sense of insecurity could play a role for me to express in a ego way fashion, or I know what exercise my ego. But if
Yes.
if I can control my sense of insecurity, my expression probably will be more balanced, more appropriate. Would that be a right way to say?
No, absolutely. That's exactly that. The moment you react in that insecure space is ego. If you are in the truth space, in that very situation, you will only respond, right? You are not associated with the situation. You are looking the situation as a situation, and you have disidentified yourself from the situation. That's why there is no emotional, turbulence within you because of the situation. And hence you are able to respond to it. Hence you are neutral. Hence you are fact-based.
Because I'm not attaching to the result, what will happen.
Not attached to the result, not attached to the situation, what is unfolding, the drama. You understand the drama as drama. That's it. You are part of it to the extent what it is, but you are aware in that part of drama that, hey, this is how I need to be there. That's it. When you are in that awareness, in that particular state, your ego cannot act. If you are not aware, you get carried away with the moment. When you get carried away with the moment, that is ego. How could you, how could he say something to me in front of so many? How could he say no to me when I have been the expert in this space? How can he say I'm so experienced? All ego, right? That identity strengthens itself.
Right.
That's how you recognize it. That's why awareness is the beautiful way to not bring ego, not to be in the ego space.
But to get that ability, I think we should start simple with the simple tasks rather than right directly, because when you are put in such a heavy, stressful corporate environment, it's very difficult to abruptly bring it up that kind of awareness, right? So basically, what I think is like you need to have a path, like you need to kind of jot down small things and slowly improve that ability, I think.
That's a practice, sir. That's why practice is needed. So ego comes in so many different ways to you that you cannot even unconsciously we live in the space of ego only. Right? Every imagination that you're building a future is ego, is in the space of ego. The very family that I'm trying to plan for next 5 years, the life, the survival, I need this, I need that, all is happening in the ego space. How many of us are conscious about that? Not many. So whatever you're planning in future is all happening at the ego space. Then how do I live in that reality? The reality is, hey, you plan things as per what you need to do, but you don't fall for it. Things happen, things happen. Things don't happen, you don't crack yourselves. You just sit straight and say, okay, let me go figure it out. That is truth. And that's why truth is brave, right? So this practice of whatever you're identifying, every hour, every 2 hours, checking yourself, hey, I'm in that state of awareness. Am I in my ego space? Just trying to remind yourself once in a while, trying to see how you are. That's how you built upon this state of, identifying that ego. Once you start to identify and recognize that space, then you know what to do. What to do, everybody knows. I don't have to be in that space. I should not be doing it. Most of the time, what happens after the fact, we repent, right? I should have not done that. No, I just got carried away. It's not enough for me to say, I should have not said that. It's too late. So that's the practice that brings you there.
Thank you.
Master, like us, even self-respect, like, is also in the disguise of ego, I believe, right? I mean,
Yes.
right? Everything, like how the insecurities are part of
Yes.
this, like, okay.
Self-respect comes from identity, right?
Mm,
You
yeah.
have identity, but there is a space in the truth where you live, let live kind of a thing, right? You accept everyone as they are, and you
Mm,
try to fit into the situations as they are, right? There is no, like, you're not the elephant in the room. When you are in the ego space, you want to prove yourself that you are the elephant in the room. When you are in the truth, you don't prove anything that you are elephant. You are one among many, but with absolute clarity.
yeah.
That's truth.
See, sometimes it happens, but it's in the, it's kind of disappearing on its own. It's not like it's not rising, like even we have to react something, but it's not like it's completely dissolved, but it's disappearing like within ourselves, like, and then we are good after. It's a little hard to be honest, to be as a beginner, yeah.
Correct. It is initially, as you progress in your spiritual journey, you will have opportunities, you will have tantrums, you will have turbulences. All that is in the learning process, right? So you will naturally go through some of these things, because as your emotions are getting released as part of your journey, inner journey, those experiences are going to come in front of you. You're going to face it. You're going to go through all that. So it is a very natural way to progress. So,
Yeah,
but
at least if you
trying
are
to,
aware of it, is fine,
yeah,
right? At least to begin with, yeah. Okay.
be aware of it and trying to understand that, okay, I felt it, I did this in the ego space. I should not be. I should be on the right side. See, sometimes it may very well also happen that you are not talking in the ego space, but others may perceive you to be in the ego space,
Mm,
especially when you are doing deeper meditations for a long time. Your family or your friends, your relatives, you give them some kind of suggestion, they may think that he's acting upon ego. It
yeah.
might also happen, even though you have a very pure intention. So it also depends upon others' capability of receiving that, what you're putting it out there, right? You may be giving them the truth as a truth, but they don't have that state at for them to accept truth as a truth. Then they start to misinterpret it. And even in that context, it becomes ego clash, right? So if for every small thing you are reacting, then your ego is small. You are in the lower phase of your ego. You're not even in the higher phase of it, right? In the context is your mind, if for every small thing you are reacting, for every situation you're getting fallen, you're getting carried away, then there is a lot of work to do. Because in any given circumstances, in any given situation, your awareness should not be shifted. Awareness should be there. However small that thing is happening right in front of you, and however big that might be happening in front of you, your awareness is always intact. That is truth. Truth is not changing, no matter what is happening. Truth is truth. A major catastrophe happened, a big event happened, right? As small as you sat for eating and then something came in your food. Such a small thing, right? No big deal at all. In that space, in this space, there is truth. If you are aware, you catch on to the truth. But if you are in the ego, you get carried away in the moment. So practice is the most important thing, and then trying to align towards the truth will get us there. Good questions. Any other questions? All right. If no further questions, then let us call it a night. It's about 10, 14, 10, 15 now. And then we'll see you all next week.
Master, I have one question. Sorry.
What was that?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
So you said right just now, like family members also, they may focus on ego, though we have good intention. So they perceive us to see as ego, like so 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 in that situation, how can we respond, like not reacting? So after some time, like, okay, you're right, okay, you're like just giving smile, okay, whatever you're saying, you're right. That is also not good answer, right? That is again from ego space, right?
See,
Though.
what you do is you have to be in the right mindset, right? The mindset has to be in the right place. If you are, see, I'll give you an example, right? You know, you have a brother example, and you tell him that, hey, do meditation. Okay, it is a very good thing that you gave him, but he does not receive it. You reminded him 3 times or 4 times. He gets furious and he gets agitated at some point, and he tries to push you out, right? Or war of words start to happen. Now, in that very moment, how you are, right? That triggering happened when he got probably upset that you are pushing him or you're kind of reminding him every time, and he's like, hey, I'm busy, I cannot do this. It may not be intentional from his side, but whatever it is, that war of war of wisdom came out, right? And then now you got hurt. Now that should tell you where you are, right? Now in the context, if you say, okay, I did my part, right, and I don't have anything else to do, you're not attached to the result. You're not saying that my brother has to do meditation. All you're saying here is, hey, I have this tool that's universe has given me, masters have given me. I'm going to give the tool to everyone who I know. Whether they receive it or not is up to them. So that's why it is the practice and the understanding. So knowledge is must for you to stay in that awareness. Otherwise, what happens? The first time you may not be reacting or you may not be going in. The third time, fourth time, when he starts to come back at you, you may get carried away.
Right.
So it is very likely that at the start of it, at the mid of it, at the end of it, truth is truth. Awareness is there. You're just observing, that's it. But the other person, your brother who is not in that state of awareness, he's responding and reacting different ways in the 3 levels, right? So that is what we need to look at. So that's why even with the family, the absolute right for you to do is, hey, there is something like this available. As an example, meditation is available. Whether that individual embraces it or not is up to the individual. You should let it happen. That's where your wisdom needs to come. Your practice has given you an experience to say that, okay, this should be taught, this should be given to everyone. Now, what your wisdom should tell you as part of that is, hey, I cannot go force people to do this. I can only help them to the point where I can give them, there is something like this available. If you need it, please use it. And the other way to look at it is, where if your brother in this case, right, example, he keeps complaining, he keeps coming back, he keeps rejecting and all that, you don't give up. Because you know that he's acting from the ego space, you are acting up from the space of truth or awareness. So when you are that, you are not receiving anything what he's saying. That's what Buddha does, right? If you are a Buddha, what Buddha did is, somebody he wanted to teach, the person came and he scolded. He finally said, for 20 minutes you spoke, but I have not received it. I'm not in the space where I'm receiving it. I just left it. So where did it go? It comes right back to you. So that is a state of awareness.
So silence is the key.
Silence is a
More
very important. Silence is like silence or stillness is a very important thing. In that
And
awareness
sometimes,
is only you know.
yeah, sometimes they say like you're selfish. Whatever I'm saying, you're not listening. You're doing whatever you want. You keep meditating like that. So they are saying selfish. So at that time, my mind says, okay, some questions. Okay, am I really selfish like that? And then wisdom comes later, very late. Okay, let them tell whatever they tell like that. I'll
It's not
leave.
like that. It is not like that. See, let them tell whatever tell mean, that is not it, right? You should accept them as they are.
Mm-mm.
In that very situation, if a person is coming to you and saying that do not do meditation, right? I need your time. From their space, they are right. Because they don't understand the importance of meditation. From their point of view, what they're saying is right. You cannot ignore that or you cannot deny it, right? But that doesn't mean that you should not do the right thing. Either if you want to sit and let them understand why you are doing it, that's fine. If you don't have it, you keep doing what you're doing. But you should not deny the fact that, hey, I'm later part, I'm gonna judge them and all. No, no business of that. You accept them, saying that, okay, you are there. That's fine. I'm there. You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm not pushing you. You're not pushing me. That's, let's respect our space. Then yes, there is an opportunity to both of you to learn from each other. If either of you are not accepting, either of you are conditioned by the external factors or situations that are happening between you, then there is no learning here. There is no growth.
Right. Yeah, got it. Thanks, Master.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Masters. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you all next Friday again with yet another topic. Actually, next week onwards, right? We are starting the workshop, 11-day workshop, starting on 5th April, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. If you have registered, that's fine. If you have not registered, please do register. This is one of the topic, but we go very deep. And this 11-day workshop is a practical workshop. This is not a theoretical workshop. The first 1 hour, we're going to practice things. How do you identify emotion? How do you, look at your mental thought? How do you label things? We'll talk about so much of practical aspects. So if you have not joined, it is in the groups already. The links are there. Please do join. And then we have mentors also who will be there to support the discussion and all that.
I'm waiting for that workshop, Master. I have already registered. I'm waiting for it. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, madam. So next week we'll be in that. So 8 o'clock we start. We do 1 hour of the practice and the theory. Then we do 1 hour meditation, anapanasati. And after that, you will have a journal for your own to go do some homework. and then try to patronize whatever, right? Because it's a healing in a transformational workshop. We are covering aspects that will help you. After 11 days, you transform yourself or you heal yourself. How do you do that is what we are learning here. It's a very great opportunity, those who are part of it, to learn. And then you don't need any medicines, you don't need anything. You just need to be, we're going to bring you into that awareness, the space of awareness, whatever I spoke about today. After 11 days, you come into that awareness space. So that's the idea. So we'll see
Wonderful.
you all in that session.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, madam. Thanks for joining. All right, masters. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. See you all tomorrow. All right, next week. Thank you.